annual get together, and the concept was, everybody was to bring his or her inspiration for the function. All the Facebook employees, including the MD, the boss of the Facebook, Kirtika, she had called me as her inspiration. Many like people, they had brought their parents, mother or father or teacher also, as their inspiration, and Kirtika had invited me as her inspiration. So I told it there that I don't think I have done anything very special for her to be the inspiration, but um, more than inspiring, getting inspirited is important. And she got inspirited to such an extent that she has become an inspiration for me now today. So that's the greatness of Kirtika. I have enjoyed her beautiful journey with pride and pleasure every time. I wish her that we should be okay, as successful as she can be, and achieve greater and greater heights always in life. Okay, Kirtika was a rank first in the university when she passed out of this college. So, I had a small party at my home in her honor. And while leaving, before leaving, she just hugged me. I remember that beautiful moment. And she remains to near my heart, okay, always and ever. Kirtika, I'm very happy that you have made it possible to be here for all our students and all of us. And I am equally eager. I am sure that your batch or you people in the computer engineering have seen the maximum transformation or changes in the computer technology. Kind of computers you had at that time and kind of environment you are working now. That there is tremendous difference. Okay, every technology, and in particular computer is some such technology which is changing day by day and putting challenges in front of you, and the people who are taking challenges or responding to the challenges are having a great experience with that, I'm sure. So you are one of those, and I want you to share your experience with the new generation and the juniors learning in our institute. And I congratulate all the student volunteers, Mubashira, Samruddhi, and all the boys in the team, that they are enthusiastically organizing this. I always repeat it that our body could be confined, but as long as our mind is free, okay, we are free to see the dreams, we are free to take up the challenges, we are free to think, and we are free to implement our thoughts. Okay, virtually though, right now. But soon we'll be getting the opportunity to bring those in practice, and we will definitely do it. Kirtika, today it's a webinar, but whenever you are planning to visit India next, you are invited to our institute and invited to meet all of us. Okay, so over to her.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, with delectation, I take this opportunity to request Kirtika Reddy ma'am to begin with session. Over to you, ma'am.
Well, thank you. Thank you for all of your beautiful words, Principal Madam, Archana, all of the student volunteers. And thank you to faculty, staff, students, alumni who have dialed in this morning. I can't tell you how excited I am to be here. And Principal Madam's words just made me have a huge flashback of the last 28 years that I have known Principal Madam. Of course, she gets younger every time that I see her. But it's just been a beautiful journey, and I'm so excited to share with all of you. And as Archana Madam mentioned, Principal Madam indeed called me on my birthday. She wished me, and then she says, I want a return gift. We are having this Tech Talk series with with students and faculty and alumni. Will you do this? And I said, Madam, you never have to ask me for a return gift. You just have to tell me what you need me to do, where you need me to be, and the answer is always yes. She has been just a huge source of inspiration, support, mentorship, and it is just tremendous to have her blessings in my life. So, as Madam mentioned, She asked me to talk about technology transformations that I have seen. And I will go through these technology transformations, and some of these, I'm sure the students will not even recognize that there used to be a world where all of that was true. But the perspective that I want you to have is that transformations are only accelerating, and those are the type of transformations you will witness, you will be part of, and you will lead, right? So as I speak about the transformations I have seen, think about all that you will see and all that you want to lead. And then she also wanted me to talk about some life lessons as I look across these transformations. What is it that, and my career journey, what are my reflections as I think about the students on this webinar? What do I wish I had known when I was in your seat? And we'll spend a little bit of time on that. And we have time for Q&A as well. Please use the chat session throughout for any questions that come up, and I'll try to address them as I talk as well. So with that, let's get started. I'm going to share my PowerPoint. Share and let me know if you can see it. All good?
Yes.
You can see it? Okay. Perfect.
Yes.
All right. So let's start from the very beginning. I'm from the batch of 1992. When I started, we started in multipurpose high school. So we moved into campus probably in my second year. And I think all that we had was the middle section of what is now your beautiful campus that spreads across so many different buildings. This is a picture from the first computer lab. We have 2 students, and then we have someone from faculty who has been there from the very beginning. I can't actually see by chat session, but can people recognize who's the professor who's there and who's from faculty is there in this picture? And if anyone can see the chat, I can't, for some reason in this screen, I don't see the chat session, but let's see if you can recognize who's there. Archana, you'll tell me if they recognize.
There is Inderjit Singh Saroya, who is sitting
Madam,
sitting.
you can't answer unless you're giving them a cue, unless you're giving them a clue. Faculty, you know everyone here.
Yeah. They are senior to me, 1 year senior to me. Indrajit is there.
Okay, and then, okay, actually I can see. Okay, there you go. Tarun O recognized that Dr. Sunil Wag is there, and indeed that is Dr. Sunil Wag who's right in the center. This was our first computer lab. It was the very latest configuration, okay? 640K RAM, 5.5-inch floppy disk. And I'm sure, I don't know actually if the students, if you have even seen a floppy disk in your life, but that is where we started. We had 5.
Is standing.
And there you go. Oh, there you go. We actually have batchmates from Inderjit and who recognizes the picture and is very familiar. We had 5 computers and we all had to share and compare that and contrast that to the facilities that you have today. We were so small and so intimate that I remember studying for the exams at our professors' homes. Some of them would make chai for us. And that's part of the close bonds that we have that makes us feel so connected to the school decades later. I also remember that we had, in my final year, the university offered the elective for artificial intelligence. And by the way, I'm positive we didn't have things like cloud computing at that time. This is from the latest syllabus. But I remember lobbying and saying AI is the next big thing, went to principal madam and said, we have to offer this as an elective. We had to figure out everything, who was going to teach, get familiar with the curriculum. But sure enough, I mean, anyone who knows principal madam, she's always forward leaning. She said, yes, let's do it. And that was the first time that we had AI as an elective in the school. By the way, I also remember going into final exams, there was no prior paper for us to look at because it was the first time it was offered. We looked at the questions. They looked very different from everything that we had studied. And so for a moment, I said, oh my God, what have I done? I think they were quite lenient in their in their scoring, given it was the first time that they did it. So we all passed and we did fine, but there you go. Just to give you a sense of where we started when we were in the school. So from there, I'm going to now talk about the technology transformations I have seen as I took the knowledge that I got from MGM-CEN and hit the working world. So I started my career working with Yashwant Kanetkar. Do people know Yashwant Kanetkar? Some of you have read Let Us See. Yes? Maybe you can, again, write on chat so that I can see whether you know Yashwant, not know Yashwant Kanetkar. Yes, we do. There you go. So my first job was working with Yashwant, fabulous. First job was working with Yashwant Kanetkar in Nagpur. I wrote all of the programs that was in this book. So if you open the book even today, you will see an acknowledgement for Kirtika Venkatraman, which was my maiden name. And if you think about the transformations, we went from C to C++ to Java to now, we are now looking at, companies that are developing low code, no code solutions that's expanding how many people can develop complex applications. So it's just fascinating to see where we started, where we've come, and how much more there is to come. So from Nagpur, I went and did my master's in Syracuse University, as Archana mentioned. And my first job after my master's was with Silicon Graphics. Silicon Graphics was a high performance computing company, and they were helping make things happen that were not possible before. And here you see a news article about how Silicon Graphics and Kodak helped with the landing on Mars. They helped with both their compute capability as well as the visualization capability. SGI technology felt like it was being used for all major accomplishments that was happening in the US, whether it was a human genome project, the making of Jurassic Park. It was truly, truly extraordinary time to be with Silicon Graphics. Something that I want all of you to remember is that this was also where I had my first business lesson. SGI and Kodak is actually quite significant that those are the two companies listed here, because probably 7 years after I was with SGI, the company actually, was not able to compete in the market. What they did not recognize was that the lower end computers were getting fast enough to be able to be good enough, and at some point even better than what SGI was able to do. And those two companies both don't exist today. So something I want all of you to remember is that was my first business lesson, that it's not sufficient to have great technology and great people. You really need to keep your eye on what is it that the customer, the consumer wants, what are the different technology trends, and keep innovating to stay relevant, build a high growth, sustainable business. So I took that as my mission and went to Stanford Business School to learn what it takes to build successful businesses. And right after business school, again, I was looking for the next technology transformation that was beginning, that I felt would have a massive impact. And I joined Good Technology, which was a startup in the mobile messaging space. And so this was in the 2000s. And mobile, of course, was transforming what was being done on a consumer side. Mobile was also transforming what's happening in businesses and enterprises. So Good Technology, the startup, would provide the ability to do mobile messaging on your smartphone and do it in a secure way so that companies would know how to keep it secure, how to do backups, retrieval, management, and the like. And I still remember working on this product, GoodLink 4.0, and our big innovation was over-the-air provisioning. So before that, BlackBerry devices, you actually had to tether it. You had to put the wire in, and only then would you get updates. But I was in the product management team, worked with an extraordinary set of engineers who figured out the security aspects of being able to do over-the-air provisioning. And you fast forward and think about the world today. Today, we are thinking about over-the-air updates, not thinking about, we actually have over-the-air updates of your software in your car. My weighing scale tells me good happy birthday on my birthday and has automatic software updates as well. So it's incredible to see how technology has shifted since the early 2000s. Now let's go to the next phase, which is when I came back to India with actually good that was acquired by Motorola. And soon after that, was offered the opportunity to be employee number one for Facebook in India and their managing director. This was 2010. We opened our operations for Facebook in India. Our mission was to bring the world closer. When we started, we had less than 100 million people on the internet. And by the way, let's take a minute to just think about this. This is 2010. This was 10 years ago. Think about the amount of transformation that has happened in those 10 years. Less than 100 million people on the internet when I started. Today we have, as you know, over half a billion people on the internet in India. So our goal was to bring the world closer, and it was beyond the numbers in terms of the revenue, in terms of the number of users. Just that ability to do that was truly, and see the impact on people, economic, society, was truly transformative and life satisfying. I'll share one story from Facebook India, which is truly one of my favorite stories. I was at an event and someone came up, actually the founder of Mast Kalandar fast food chain. She came up to me and she said, Pallavi Gupta, she said, I have to share this story with you. And it's always fun because at any place that you go, someone always has a Facebook story or an Instagram story or a WhatsApp story. Someone always has a great story to share. She told me, she said, Kirtika, my cooks, they don't know how to read, they don't know how to write, but they know how to use the phone and they know how to use Facebook. For a minute, I just couldn't understand it. I'm like, they don't know how to read, they don't know how to write. What are they doing on Facebook? She shared their profile pages with me, and sure enough, there were pictures of their children, there was videos, there was interactions with their, using the like button with content. And it was one of those moments where that mission of bring the world closer just crystallized for me when people use the platform in ways that even we did not imagine. So that was the 2010s, where I built our operations and our business in India. And then when my girls were starting high school and middle school, we decided to go back to the United States. I took an emerging markets role, worked with incredible markets like South Africa, Mexico, Brazil, Indonesia, and truly saw the power of this technology transformation at a global scale. I then started missing, the startup space of that early technology pace, and which is when I co-founded a seed fund called F7 with 6 other female Facebook executives. Our goal was to invest in at least 50% female founders, and some of those conversations led me to SoftBank, and I joined SoftBank as an investment partner. Some of the trends that we see here, and these are, by the way, just a sample of some of the trends that we see. And the key thing to remember is that the only thing that's constant is change. Quantum computing. Moore's law, as we have known it, which has lasted for the last 50 years, and has given us exponential increase in computational power. We are finding it to be at a declining scale, and in not seeing that kind of exponential compute. And the next wave where a lot of people are spending a lot of time is quantum computing, whether it's Google, whether it's IBM, whether it is startups working in the space. And it has been incredible to be able to meet many of the people directly working on this technology. And I know that there will be some Nobel Prize winners in there, and it's truly humbling to be able to see that kind of that scale of problems being tackled and that scale of innovation happening. The next example that I want to share is genomics. SoftBank Vision Fund has one of the portfolio companies is Guardant Health. They use the power of genomics to transform what used to be an invasive tissue biopsy process for late stage cancer patients to be able to prescribe the right treatment into a simple blood test. And as you can tell, it's night and day to go from an invasive process where you have to take some tissue to a blood test process that comes back in about half to a third of the time. They're now trying to have that same kind of impact for early stage cancer patients. And for all of us who have loved ones who we have lost to cancer, we know how life-changing that can be. Other examples, augmented reality, virtual reality. Imagine an immersive world where, again, we all, the 200 plus people on this Zoom actually feel as though we are not in all of these remote places, but we're actually having a conversation together. There are startups that are, if you have seen sci-fi films where James Bond has his glasses on and it's retrieving names of the people they're seeing or giving you directions, right within your eye or within your frame. Those are all soon no longer going to be science fiction, but really be reality. And it's exciting to see fundamental technology problems that are being solved to get that kind of an effect. Autonomous vehicles, self-driving cars, lots of investment, again, by the majors and with startups. Robotics, and a place where these two intersect. In the world of COVID, in my neighborhood, we had a little robot that would, for small distances, take groceries and drop it off pure contactless. And this whole world is increasing, especially in the COVID era. Another trend that's accelerating because of COVID is tele-everything, right? Telehealth, tele-education, what the students have been doing for the last many months. Again, these are just a few examples. And the big thing is, where is all of this going? Where are numerous other technology trends going? And the one thing that I will mention, which is really important, is not just the problems that we are solving, but also how we are solving problems. What do I mean by that? How do we make sure that as we are solving problems, as we are scaling, we don't have unintended consequences that are not good for society? How do we make sure we are building into tools ways to correct biases that we may have? I'll give you one simple example just to trigger your thinking. The performance management systems at Facebook, as we entered feedback, it would give us reminders that says, oh, if you are writing that some behavior was very aggressive, very assertive, and this happens to be for a female employee, just think about whether you would use the same verbiage if that situation happened if it was a male employee, right? So it's fascinating to see how they're trying to correct biases that can seep into a human person using technology. So don't just think about fundamental change in technology, think also about the how, think about the adverse impacts and how we can address it. So with that, with the technology transformations from the 1990s, 2000, and the 2010s, if I reflect on, okay, what have I learned? And what is it that I would have loved to know when I was in your shoes? I have 3 messages for you. 1, remember that your voice has power. And I will go back to my MGM CEN days when I really wanted that AI course And there were a bunch of students that really wanted that AI course, and we felt it was really important. We made the case, went to principal madam. She said, yes, do it. We came up with an execution plan, made it happen. Know that your voice has more power than you think is possible. Really try to understand what the consumer problems are, what problems are not solved, what are the problems worth solving, and use your voice to come up with solutions to influence change to make those solutions happen. So that's one. Two, always be learning. If you think that you are going to leave MGM CEM and know all that you need to do, all that you need to learn, I hope what I have shared with you gives you the sense that you will never be done with your learning, and the pace of change is only accelerating. So the biggest skill that you will leave MGM CEM with is the ability to learn. And by the way, this is learning not just about technology trends, but also the how of your role. I remember when I started Facebook India, my first task was to build one of the 4 global operations offices that now handles over 2 billion plus users. And I remember talking to Sheryl Sandberg, the chief operating officer, and I said, what's your advice for me? And she said, Kirtika, if you haven't grown from the operations organizations, make sure you take the time to really learn the fundamentals and the nitty-gritty, because it's that level of understanding that will help you lead at a strategic level. So sure enough, every week I used to sit down with the team, sit down with them, understand what kind of cues they were working on, what kind of problems they were seeing at a grassroots level, so that I could lead as the managing director of Facebook India. Always be learning. You will never be done with your learning. I am not done with my learning. And that's a mindset that I constantly bring to everything that I do. And the last one, which is to the topic of today, is dream big. I came to MGMCN because my parents believed that if there was an engineering college in the neighborhood, girls would go to that engineering college. And I remember having a discussion with my father, and I said, but and I, whoever has just either joined or has put yourself on mute. Thank you. So I remember talking to my dad and talking about other opportunities. And he told me, Kritika, listen, you can go to any situation and make amazing things happen out of it, or you can go, to a place and do nothing with it. So this is really about what you make out of it. And I will tell you that the amount of investment that every faculty member, every person on the staff put into my learning and the learning of everyone around us was fundamental to, one, me graduating with a university rank, as Principal Madam mentioned, and to setting me up for the foundation that brings me to my journey of today. And so I credit my journey, then going to Stanford Business School, arguably one of the best business schools in the world, to the journey that started at MGM CEN and all of the other, career highlights that Archana Madam and Principal Madam shared to my beginnings at MGM CEN. So I'm very grateful. And if there is one thing that you will take away from my talk, it's about this ability to dream big. If your dreams don't scare you, if you are not applying for that one role or thinking about some solution that you almost feel, oh my God, am I even going to be able to do it? Then you're not dreaming big enough. So that's what you want to look for. So my final thought as I wrap up and I open up for questions are 2 things. One, this is a poster that we used to have at all Facebook offices, which said, this journey is 1% finished. There are many problems that are not solved today. I mean, you think about climate change, you think about the problems that COVID has exposed, there is so much that needs to be done. What we have done and what I have shown you is just 1% of the journey. And so 99% is ahead of us, and it is the people in this webinar who are going to think about those solutions and to take us to the next part of our journey. And my final thought that I will leave you with is this question, which again has been a principle as I have chosen different opportunities. It is, what would you do if you weren't afraid? Dream big, you deserve to dream big. If I think of my journey, the last personal story that I will share is that my mom actually did not finish her high school graduation because her dad said, Beti, you know enough math to do your grocery bill and your laundry bill. So really, why do you need to study any further? If I think about the transformation that one generation can bring, and my mother really feels badly that she did not have that opportunity for education. And I'm so grateful they did not think the same for their daughters and gave us this opportunity that then leads me to where I am. And as I think about that shift in one generation, I feel very optimistic, not just about technology transformations, but also about all of the personal transformations that await all of us. So with that, I will open up for questions.
So, Kirti, thank you
Yes.
for your mind-blowing session. I remember when you were in third year and I was in final year, you have been given a fish pond in the gathering. Kirtiga Reddy, a busy bee. So I still feel that today also you are busy bee doing multiple activities proficiently. Thank you for your wonderful session. I have got a question for you. You are an alumna from MGNCN of 1992 batch. Tell us about your experience at MGMCEN and how that positioned you for your current role.
Yeah, I hope I've touched upon a lot of the themes in my session, but the biggest thing that MGMCN gave me was one, the love of learning. Um, faculty, staff really spend the time with every student to nurture that love of learning. And you have seen that through my career journey. To the opportunities that the school gave to be vocal about what is needed and how responsive administration was then, and I'm sure now as well. It is a perfect ground for leadership. And three, the lifelong set of friends that I got from that session, including Lena, who just joined, and we are connecting after many decades, and I'm looking forward to following up with her after this webinar to connect. Those are three things that I will always cherish and take with me in every part of my journey.
Rahul, second question.
And I do have one question that came in chat as well.
Jyoti ma'am?
Hello, Kirtika. I would like to ask you, you were the first employee and managing director of Facebook India and South Asia. How did you build this Facebook India?
Yeah. I remember the first time the executive team was visiting Facebook India, and the whole team was very excited. And we started our presentation where we started sharing the business results of that Facebook India had accomplished. And the executive team, they stopped me and they said, Kirtika, I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. First, tell me, how are you hiring the right people? How are you building the right culture? Because if you hire the right people and build the right culture, the business results will come. And of course, all three are important. So I spent a lot of time I committed to hiring the first 100 hires across all levels. And I spoke about, again, the effort taken to really understand things at a grassroots level. We also set a very bold vision for where we wanted to be in 4 years. And that vision became a rallying cry for what we wanted to do. And really, it was seeing the impact on people, communities, businesses, economies. That was a reinforcing circle that then made us go back to work every single day, thinking about how can we bring the world closer and making sure that all of our activities were lined up for that. Maybe one principle that I'll share from Facebook India days that I carry with me is the sense of ruthless prioritization. There will always be many, many good things to do, but really it's about picking the best thing to do, like for your consumer, for your team, for your organization, that will then lead to the best results. And there is a big difference between good and great. Always aim for great. Yeah. Hey,
Ma'am, I would like to ask one question.
Yeah.
Ma'am, you are now an investment partner at SoftBank Vision Fund, the largest tech fund in the world. What is your role in that Vision Fund or SoftBank fund, ma'am?
Yeah. So I am part of a team that focuses on frontier tech, enterprise tech, and health tech. I have looked at everything from quantum computing to additive manufacturing, 3D printing, to I work with companies that are changing how gaming is being done. I am on the board of Collective Health, which is a healthcare and an enterprise tech company that's changing how self-insured employers, how the benefits work. It's just transformative. Work with Fungible, which is a fabulous semiconductor company. Just to give you a few examples, I also recently joined the board of WeWork as part of their turnaround. So those are the areas that I work on. I'm also one of the executive sponsors for diversity and inclusion initiatives across the firm. All right, can I take some of the questions that came on chat?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. So Manish Shukla says, entrepreneur journey is not easy. What advice would you give to young entrepreneurs? So the biggest advice I would give is, choose your space, choose the problem that you want to solve, choose your mission and vision in an area that, really speaks to you. Because entrepreneurship, as you said, is not easy, and you need to have that North Star to be able to go through the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. One of the stories that I'm sure you have heard in its many forms, but it's a story that deeply resonates with me, is a story of a woman who's walking in Rome, who sees three people, doing things with bricks. She stops the first person, says, "What are you doing?" He frowns and he says, "Can't you see I'm putting one brick on top of the other?" She stops the second person, he smiles and says, "I'm building a wall." Stops the third person, who beams and says, "I'm building the tallest cathedral in Rome." They're all doing the same thing, but they all have a different picture of the vision that they're going to, and that makes all the difference. So that's one. Two, surround yourself with people who are smarter than you in different ways, and bring them along the journey. Talk to them about the mission, vision, give them huge responsibilities, and empower them to deliver to that vision. And the last one, of course, is staying very focused on the problem that you're solving, the consumer that you're solving it for, the customer that you're solving it for. Okay. Let's see.
Yes, madam. I have questions for you.
Yeah,
What
okay.
attributes have you found to be important for success?
What attributes have I found important to be success? I covered that in my life lesson. One is that ability to dream big. 2 is to then put in the effort, the work. There really is no substitute for hard work to get to your vision. Know that you have more power than you think is possible. And 3, bring people along with you in your journey. Okay.
Madam, I am faculty from this department. I am having one question.
Yeah.
How do you think about development of organizations that you have been working with?
Yeah. How do I think about development of organizations? I will go back to the purpose, the mission, and the vision. All right. And rallying people around that. 2, I have found that magic happens when you align what the company's objectives and goals are with the person's personal and professional ambitions. And while that might not be the case every single day, making sure that you are thinking about that and making those matches happen, so that true magic can happen in terms of the output. That's 2. 3, in this world, it also is about a data-centric approach. So measure what matters and use that to drive your decisions. I'd say I'll stop at 3, and I'd say that those are some of the 3 key things to think about as you build high growth, sustainable organizations.
Thank you, ma'am.
What else can I answer? I think we have maybe time for maybe 2 questions, Archana.
Fine. There are questions in the chat box.
Okay. How do you explain balancing work, family life? Okay. So I love this question. And I think the gift that I want to give each one of you on this call is actually a superpower. And it's a superpower called the power of the and versus the tyranny of the or. What do I mean by that? I remember when my daughter was born, I really just wanted to be with her for the first year because I had a job that required me to travel, and I remember the first time I needed to travel after I had had Arya, I said to myself, is this the point that everyone talks about, where they tell me that I have to make a choice between my personal ambitions and my professional ambitions? And then it dawned on me, it said, why do I have to do that? I can just travel with her. And so I did that. Of course, I delegated a lot of travel, but in one place, one of my wife's colleague used to run a daycare center before. She said she'll take care of the baby while I went to work. So something or the other happened to help me achieve my goal of being with Arya for the full first year while I was working and had a very busy professional career. So that was a way that I could do both. And I've used that principle in many different scenarios. Volunteering, I wasn't able to sign up to a regular volunteering schedule after my second child was born. Then I encountered an organization called Hands on Bay Area that let me sign up on the go. And they had activities that let me take my children with me. So my 2 girls, my younger one has been volunteering with me since she was 6 weeks old. So that's how she has just grown up. And it's been really good for her and really good for us. I'm not saying that everyone should make the same decisions that I do, but it has been a key principle that I have used to balance work and life and really integrate the 2. Okay. Oh my God, there are so many questions. What would be the one book that you would recommend to read? I personally really like the book Winning by Jack Welch. And while, there are things to take and things not to take, um, he talks about the power of the voice, and that really let me internalize what that meant. And he also talks a lot about bringing people along, and it's a book that I would recommend. Being an undergraduate student, what should we prefer? PG directly after undergraduate, or should we get some work experience first? Personally, I got work experience, so that's just a personal choice. I really think it's something that each one of you have to decide. If you feel ready to jump into the next, academic stint, go for it. But I certainly did work experience before I got my master's. What methods do we incorporate to keep up with the latest tech trends? The internet is a wonderful, wonderful boon. And some of the things that I would recommend is actually, there are a bunch of daily digests about what the venture capital community is investing in. If you just do a search, you'll find a variety of them, including Fortune, Term Sheet. And that'll just give you a sense of what's going on, where the investment is going. Again, the internet is a wonderful thing to keep track of tech trends. All right.
So may
Yeah.
I take this one now?
Yes.
Yeah. So over with the questions in the chat box.
There are maybe 20 questions that we haven't gotten to, and I don't think we will have the time to get to. But Archana and Principal Madam, I'll let you guide me on what would be most valuable for the students.
I have one question for Kirtika.
Sir, welcome.
Oh my God.
Yes. It was very nice to listen all the success stories of you. I was knowing you since from the beginning, 1990. I have one question.
Yes.
That is, you have not talked about the failures.
Oh.
So just yesterday, one of the actor, Sushant Singh Rajput, he committed to suicide. The reason we don't know, right? So now the young generation, they are very sensitive now, and they are not ready to accept the failures. So so I request you to share some of your failures.
May I interrupt for a minute, Sir?
Please.
I feel that we have nurtured this generation next without any shortages as such. Like our lives are very small, and dreams are also small in the beginning. But there are only one or two children to all the parents, and the parents are taking care of the children to the most. This is like, helping the butterflies coming out of the cocoon. And like the parents, what we are doing is, the breaking the cocoon and help the butterfly come out with the swollen wings, not capable of fighting with life. So like all I find is among the children, the psychological disorders are being found on a rampant scale nowadays. The patience and tolerance is reduced to a great extent. Like we grew amongst the cousins, we grew amongst 4 5 siblings, and we knew the sharing, we knew the sacrifice. We never demanded anything that was beyond the reach of our parents. But now we don't find that is happening. And the people, young people are unable to take the no from life. So, like, in spite of so much of success, I read his wish list of 50 wishes, out of which Sushant Singh Rajput had completed 12 wishes. So, like, what is real life and the philosophy of life, what elder generation transferred to us, is somehow has not got transferred to the younger generation. on a larger scale. There may be exceptions to everything, but this is what is happening. And because of the reduced tolerance level and patience, I think people are unable to take the stress of life.
Yeah, madam, that is very, very true. Earlier, we had a joint family. Now it has become a nuclear family. Now, the present generation, they must know how to tackle the failure also.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell something about how to deal with the failures, Kirtika.
Yeah.
100%. So, um, like I'll even today, by the way, I will do a meeting. I'll probably come out of this webinar and say, oh my God, there are 3 things that I should have said that would have made it better, right? And I do that all the time because I reflect on what can I do better. And one way to think about it is, oh, I didn't do well enough. But the other way to think about it is, oh, that's my learning, and that's what I'm going to take into my next session. So I do that all the time in terms of just channeling. How is it that I interpret something for myself? And when you talk of failures, right? So if you just change the word failure to it being an opportunity for learning, I think that just it's a different paradigm, and that's what I have learned to recognize. I remember when I first took on the responsibility for running sales and revenue for Facebook India, and the first time I had to do forecasting and tracking, I had never done that before, right? And it was almost a moment of panic, like, what am I, like, how do I do this? I learned to train myself to say, okay, this is something that's a core part of my job. I have to be good at it. How do I translate it into an action plan of, what I need to learn? Who are the peers? Who are my mentors? Who I can lean on such that I become an expert in what I need to do. So just being able to, and by the way, it's not easy. It takes practice. It takes discipline. And the biggest thing I would say, Vaxar, in dealing with failures is surround yourself by people who believe in you almost more than you believe in yourselves. And I have felt very fortunate to be surrounded by each one of you in this call. The 4 of you that I see, Archana Madam, Vaxar, Principal Madam, and I know many of my other classmates who have given me that energy. So find that energy. I'll also say one thing that was in Sheryl Sandberg's book, Option B, where she speaks about losing someone. And she says, have like a set of people who can be, quote unquote, your panic button, right? That emergency button that you press where you have told that person, listen, I might need help. I want you to listen to me without judgment. Give me the time to help me and treat it with confidentiality. So make sure you find those 1, 2, 3 people in your life who can be that panic button, and call them and say, this is the role that I need you to play. I hope I don't need to use that panic button, but if I call you, understand that that's what I need. Hopefully that is helpful, and some of this resonates and triggers additional ideas for one dealing with failure as well as the specific situation that we're talking about.
Thank you, Kirtika. There is one important point that
yes.
you have forgotten, and let the audience know it. That is, she can run daily 10 kilometers. The fitness, that is very much important. The success.
Yeah. Actually, Vaxa, no, thank you for reminding me. And I did do a 10K today as well. But I think that is also what I will refer to an example of dream big. I am not a big hiker. I cannot swim. I actually am not a fast runner. And I only started running maybe 6, 7 years ago. But it's that mindset of saying, this is what I want to do, and putting in the work needed to slowly build that let me do that. I've also hiked the Everest Base Camp twice, the second time with my daughter. Again, remember, I'm a hiker, not very athletic, but if you dream big and put the work behind that and have a community that will support you, all of your dreams are possible.
Thank you, Kritika. Thank you.
Thank you, Aksar. It's so good to see you. It's truly a blessing. So with that,
Okay, no, not yet over. We had a book written by I think Geeta Piramal. Okay, she wrote about 50 powerful women in India, and we bought many copies of that book. I have gifted with pride, to many people that book because it had your story. It's there in our library too, and like you have been enlisted in the most powerful women in India by Fortune, okay, in a series like of many years. Now, what would you like to advise the young women of India, young women of MGM who are learning, who are dreaming, okay, to be the engineers, to be the successful professionals? What would you like to share with them? Okay, you
yeah.
started your journey from this Nanded MGM. Now you have reached to a stage that Fortune is, enlisting you amongst the most powerful women. So you were enlisted amongst first 50. I don't know now what is your position, must be higher, I'm sure. So
What's my advice to the young women on this?
yes, being the most powerful women, I'm very happy we are interacting with the most powerful women, declared by the Fortune.
Well, number one, woman, young women who are on this in this room, and older ones, given there are alumni in this call as well. One, there is nothing you cannot aspire to that a man can. So you can aspire to everything a man can. One, two. The most important career decision you make will not be the first job that you take, your boss, your manager. It'll actually be the partner that you choose. My husband, Dave, has been an incredible source of support. And I truly would not be in this call having this conversation with you if he hadn't supported me every step of the way. So pick your partner carefully, and it is a give and take. Sometimes you will do something that is more beneficial for one career versus the other, but make sure that it is an equal partnership. And this might be like several years out for most of you. As you start thinking of having children, I remember first we were not ready. Then I postponed it for the smallest reason. No, I have to go to a wedding. I have to go to a conference. I cannot be pregnant. But over time, I learned that there will never be a right time. And so conversely, it means it's always a good time. So just figure out what makes sense, and life will conspire to support you in that. And thirdly, do not forget the superpower of the and is something that I really want you to remember. Again, I don't know how many people have come to me and said, oh, I want to do an MBA, but I also want to have a child. Like, do I have to pick between one or the other? I'm like, why? Again, I had my first child when I was 1 year into my MBA program. And it was almost an aha moment where she said, oh, I can actually do that. So many times there are choices that are presented as though you have to pick one or the other. Try to think a little hard, try to think out of the box, and more often than not every time, but more often than not, there could be an and. So dream big. There is nothing you can't aspire to that a man can. Pick a supportive partner and build a community around you that supports you through your journey.
What I find most beautiful about your life is you have balanced your professional career. It's a beautiful growth, but at the same time, you have maintained all through the balance in the family as well. I see your pictures visiting your parents, your in-laws, enjoying the career of your kids, and your daughter is also learning in a best of the art school now. She's she's been right. So
Yeah.
like you learned yourself, like you grew after your marriage also, you have grown to a great extent. So that's really wonderful. Like you have
Okay.
uh, you, you have really nurtured those relations of love and attachment, that bond with all your family all the time, your friends, okay, your teachers like me, like you have been all through, you have been connected, since 92 to the date. Okay, that's wonderful part of your personality. That's what I personally feel.
No, thank you. My energy comes from those connections. And speaking about my children, I have an ink talks about my children, my coaches, MC Square, my children, my coaches. I have learned so much from them. And again, I learn so much from my peers, wonderful faculty, like faculty on this call, and really everyone around me. But thank you, Principal
Talk
Madam, for the.
something about your kids, Ashna and Arya.
Tell you about them.
Yeah.
Ashna has just finished her 12th standard and she's going to Rhode Island School of Design to study design. It's one of the best design schools in the world. So we're very happy for her. And Arya has just finished 10th grade. She is into physics, technology, gaming, and I learn a lot from them every single day.
That's so wonderful. It was great to have you here, Kirtika. And like on behalf of all of us, I thank you once again for sparing this time of yours and sharing your experiences. That was wonderful.
No, thank you all. And maybe on the chat session, if there is one thing that you will remember from this talk, what would it be? One thing that you will remember from this talk.
Okay.
Madam, what is one thing you will remember?
Yeah, I would remember all the things you have shared. This particular sentence, which is being displayed here, what would I do if I would not have been afraid of? Okay, this comes from a book. I remember, Who Moved My Cheese?
Yeah.
Do if you were not afraid. Okay, so this sentence, I think, is capable of keeping oneself going. Everybody comes across with negative things in life. Okay, but then how do you respond to those things? That decides your future.
Yeah.
It's not the events, but your response to the events that decides what is going to happen with you. Like you
That's
talked about the failures, you talked about the success, you talked about the career, professional growth, and technology challenges. I will remember everything.
No, thank you.
Single thing.
Well, wonderful. And I think I am also seeing some of the themes on the chat session. They said, dream big, lifelong learning, always be learning, journey is 1% finish. If you're not scared of your dreams, you're not dreaming big enough, failure is opportunity, you can do it. So with those, your voice has power. Beautiful. With that, thank you again for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to share. I'm wishing you all the best and cheering for every one of you. So thank you.
Madam, parting thoughts?
Yes. Parting thought, she has given so many, so I thought of dropping that question. But what is the single thing that you would like to share before parting? Yeah, tell us.
I have it right here, which is there are so many problems that need to be solved, and we need each one of you to be bold, to dream big, and to raise your hand to solve that problem. Think about what you would do if you weren't afraid. Build a great community around you. There is no substitute for hard work. Use failure as an opportunity, and go solve some big problems for people, for society, and for community. So with that, thank you. Thank you, madam.
So now I request Rahul for the vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion of webinar session on Alumni Perspective Dream Big, presented beautifully by Kirtika Reddy. Derry Dunn, an American basketball coach, had said, "Don't limit your challenges, challenge your limits." Our Department of Computer Science and Engineering is doing exactly the same thing by challenging its own limits. CSE department had organized this international technical webinar. But for from where this CSE department is getting the energy? Of course, the force and support behind this energy is from none other than inspiration of our respected director, Dr. Geeta Latkar ma'am. I feel obliged to thank Director Madam for always there for as an energy source guiding to build such program. Now, no event can take shape without hardworking leader. It was the dedication and enthusiasm of our head of the department, Dr. Archana Rajurkar Madam, that we could arrange such international webinar. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Archana Rajurkar Madam for her determination and hard work. Now I deem it a great honor and privilege to express my sincere gratitude and appreciation for the speaker of today's webinar, Kirtika Reddy, who had charmed the participant with her amazing, knowledgeable thoughts and memories of our institute. We look forward the same help and support from her in future also. Now, last but not the least, as today this is our last session in the series of national and international webinar, I would like to call upon my co-coordinator, Mr. Junaid Khan, to share and express his feelings and experiences in the make and design of these webinars. Over to you, Junaid.
Hello everyone. I, Junaid Khan, coordinator of this webinar, share few of my experiences during the make and design national and international webinar series. I started when our HOD, Director Dr. Archana Rajurka Madam, called me and said that I and my coordinator, Rahul Singh Bisen, should coordinate this webinar series. Under the esteemed guidance of Dr. Rajurkar Madam, we started with preparation of posters and WhatsApp text messages. We held various meetings with our student council members and planned the activities. While streaming, we also made simultaneous live telecast on YouTube stream, which happened for the first time in the history of MGM College of Engineering, Nanded. More than 1,200 views were there on a single day, and now it had become an asset on YouTube. To help the speaker, we made arrangements that comment coming in YouTube were manually reposted in Zoom app meeting. Most importantly, we kept the backup plan ready so that the show must go on uninterruptible. Backup plan was for laptop, mobile, internet connections, etc. And the height of backup plan is that it was for anchor and vote of thanks delivering person also. And the man behind all these planning was none other than my coordinator, faculty, Mr. Rahul Singh Bisen sir, who burned the midnight oil to make this event a grand success. The guiding force during this making and designing was our respected CSC head, Dr. Archana Rajurka Madam, with whom we were in continuous touch and she provided us every help and guidance as needed. We thank Rajurka Madam for believing on us and putting the efforts in making today's event a resounding success. At this point, I would like to request Rahul Bisen sir to please share with us any incident he remembered, especially for the backup plan.
Thank you, Junaid. I would like to share one short incident that was happened. That, as Junaid said, that we were ready with the backup plans, but we all know it is a lockdown time and students are utilizing this time on WhatsApp, YouTube, etc., and completing their day per day internet data till afternoon itself. Our first international webinar was organized in evening as per Indian Standard Time, and till its completion, Samruddhi finished her internet data. I, with full confidence, asked my two other backup students to continue. But to my surprise, all were genius. All faced the same problem. And they said, "Sir, internet data is finished." We were in the last part of the session. I knew now this will be solved by only one person. I called Rajurkar Madam, and ma'am had handled the situation in such a nice way that nobody knew what happened at the background. She took the charge of Samruddhi and concluded the session beautifully. Thank you, ma'am, for such a quick action. This was an amazing experience for me.
Thank you, Rahul sir. As far as certificate generation was concerned, it was generating through student coordinator mail, but our special thanks to Jyoti Patil madam who had made available the G Suite, and through its add-on, now it could be generated through faculty coordinator mail also. We extend our sincere thanks to Patil madam for this support. Above and beyond, let's not forget the backbone of this grand function. It if every single equipment is made available, but if electricity power is missing, the whole system fails. And the power is our respected director, Dr. Geeta Ladka madam, who put all the equipment into working condition. We extend heartfelt gratitude to Director madam for her determination and enthusiasm throughout this journey and of national and international webinar. Last but not the least, thank to all whole team of student council who went an extra mile, worked their tail off and made this dream a reality. I finally thank all those who had directly or indirectly contributed for this national and international webinar series. Thank you so much. Now I would like also to thank Gil sir for his valuable support. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone.
Yes, and the maintenance team.
Over to you,
Yeah.
Radhika madam or Director madam.
Yeah. So thank you, Kirtika, for the wonderful, inspiring session. I'm sure that our students will take inspiration from you and will grow. One of them may become like you and will come back again to us and guide the further generations. Thank you so much. It was so nice to see and listen to you. Over to Director Madam.
Yes, thank you so much, dear Kirtika. Like it was a beautiful experience, and this is the webinar I have enjoyed personally the most.
Yeah.
Well, no, thank you for having me. And again, I'm wishing everyone the very, very best and cheering for all of your successes. And I know MGM continues to dream big, and it's been tremendous to see those dreams come true. And I know the dreams only get bigger. So I can't wait to see where the institution and where students and alumni grow. So thank you for this opportunity and my very best.
Bye.
Thank you.
Adios.
Ma'am.
Thank you.
Bye. Shall we disperse now, Rahul?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank
We
you,
will be
one and
sharing
all.
the feedback link on this chat as well as on the WhatsApp group so that students, participants can share their valuable feedback, and e-certificate will be generated and it will be sent on their mail. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, organizers.
Thank you,
Thank you so
madam.
Thank you. Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Off color.